Okay, so tell me a little bit about the Utah Assistive Technology Program. How did it come about?
All right. So to share how UATP, Utah Assistive Technology Program started, it is important to talk about the history of the Assistive Technology Act. This legislation was originally passed in 1988. This was to help increase awareness of assistive technology, access to assistive technology, and acquisition of assistive technology. So then what is assistive technology, right? We really want to make sure that everybody knows what AT is before I go into further explaining about our services. Assistive technology, or AT, is defined as any item, device, or piece of equipment used to maintain or improve the independence and function of people with disabilities and seniors in education, employment, recreation, and daily living activities. So AT includes not only the actual device, but also the services necessary to get and use the devices, including assessment, customization, repair, and education. So AT can be low technology, like a built-up handle on a spoon to improve the ability to grasp, or high technology such as computer controlled with eye movement, smartphone tablets. Right now, that's very popular. Okay, so then the AT Act in December. Okay, let's go back a little bit. So the law was reauthorized in 2004 with significant changes, converting it from a competitive grant program, which means that states competed and awards were made to a formula grant program for state AT programs. And also that includes protection and advocacy AT programs. The 2004 reauthorization also authorized and described a set of state leadership activities for state AT programs to implement. Congress successfully reauthorized the AT Act in December 2022, at the end of last year, which was exciting for us. This 2022 legislation titled the 21st Century Assistive Technology Act, which updates and modernizes the Assistive Technology Act. So all 50 states, 4 US territories, the District of Columbia and Puerto Rico receive formula grant funding under Section 4 of the Assistive Technology Act of 2004. So these 56 grantees are required to carry out a continuum of specify state level and state leadership activities that promotes the ability of people with disabilities to know about, have access to, and ultimately be better able to obtain assistive technology. So that kind of covers the general description of the AT Act and what our AT programs do.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna lean into my next question, like what services you provide at the AT Assistive Technology Program.
Sure. So our work began in 1989 through this competitive grant program that I shared earlier. So we currently have 3 locations to serve all Utahns, and our mission is to put AT into the hands of people who need it. As I mentioned earlier, there are 4 state-level activities authorized by the AT Act. They are AT demonstration, AT loan, AT reutilization, and AT financing. AT demonstration activities provide opportunities for people to become familiar with specific types of AT by comparing and contrasting the functions and features of devices through hands-on exploration. The second part is AT device loan activities allow individuals to borrow AT for a limited time to try out and determine if that device will meet their needs before a purchase is made. This allows consumers to make an informed choice. AT reutilization activity supports the reuse of assistive technology that is no longer needed or used by its original owner. And they would give it to us, and we would actually refurbish them and give to a new owner at substantial cost savings. AT state financing activity supports the purchase, acquisition of AT through financial loans or other initiatives that directly provide AT to consumers at no cost using dollars from non-AT Act sources. So in our state, we work with our local bank to provide low interest loans to purchase ATs. So we bring down their interest rate so that it is more affordable. The other parts to the activities are the state leadership activities authorized by the AT Act include providing education on AT, technical assistance, information and referral, and public awareness throughout the state.
Mhm. My next question is, are there any particular stakeholders that the Utah Assistive Technology Program partners with?
Yes, all 56 AT programs serve their residents in their state. We serve individuals with disabilities of all ages. We educate individuals with disabilities, parents, service providers, anyone really wanting to learn more about ATs, and people who want to support that community. And without their support, really, we cannot continue to operate. And we work very close with individuals with disabilities and their families. For example, in our advisory council, 51% of the members are individuals with disabilities who use AT, or a family member who has a child that uses AT. And the other 49% are representative from vocational rehabilitation, State Center for Independent Living, state education agency, Medicaid, Medicare, transportation, housing, area agencies on aging, and so many partnerships that we build to help with planning, implementation, and evaluation of our activities. So they are very important partners to continue to provide quality services.
Mhm. My next question is, what impact does your organization have on the disability community?
Okay, so Utah has an increasing population of older adults, and I think one of our impact is that one of our activity, AT loan, where the consumers could borrow AT equipment for a few weeks before making that purchase. Our loan bank contains hundreds of assistive technology items, and the library actually grows as there are more requests for specific devices. We want our consumers to find the right device for their needs without having them spend hundreds of dollars on devices that would end up not being used. The other part with our activity is Utah is one of the nation's most welcoming states for refugees. So many individuals have shared that they were unaware of available resources and services. And even if they were introduced or provided, many were reluctant to take them, whether not having enough information on the benefits of resources, or perhaps just the attitudinal barriers. So each culture has different ways of living, tradition, values, right? Some cultures may want the additional resources, additional supports, whereas the others may find them useless. Therefore, the other part of our activity that we focus on a lot is public awareness, that education, providing the opportunity to access resources. We don't want to change their beliefs or system, but introducing them to different ideas, concepts, letting them know some resources could support them to be independent. You don't need to use them right away, but if you think it could benefit you, why don't you try it? So
Mhm.
we have a lot of connection with underserved minority populations here in Utah, educating them to available resources.
Mhm. My last question is, how do you create an inclusive and welcoming environment for everyone, especially people with disabilities? It's a loaded question, but
Okay, so Utah Assistive Technology Program is part of the Institute for Disability Research Policy and Practice, which is also part of the Emma Eccles Jones College of Education and Human Services at Utah State University. So our institute is committed to creating an inclusive culture that promotes equity, diversity, and inclusion in all of the operations that we do, not only to consumers, but our employees, volunteers, stakeholders to have their presence and share their voices. Everyone should be respected, supported, and valued for who they are, and be able to freely express their own opinions, feel safe from unfairness, So we continue to work on establishing an inclusive environment where our staff, students, community members benefit from culturally inclusive practices. And at the end of the day, all of these experiences will enrich our work. So building an inclusive and welcoming environment involves ongoing awareness raising, thinking about cultures, right? Not just your own, but other culture as well. It is about being respectful, building that trust, building relationship with another. It will take probably a long time before you actually gain their trust, especially working with a lot of diverse population here. Throwing out all the resources at once, it's not going to change the environment, but being able to respect their culture, continue to have that conversation with them, it will slowly, gradually give us a space to bring that welcomeness and provide that inclusive environment for everyone, especially the disability communities. And UATP will continue to provide support for Utahns to have that access to resources and to make sure that they have a meaningful life.
Yeah, that's cool.